Well, hello, studio teacher friends. Welcome to the Beyond Measure podcast, your weekly shout out of solidarity in the music teaching profession. My name is Christina Whitlock. I am your host and self appointed anytime piano teacher friend. If you have been searching for like minded teachers who embrace things like humility, curiosity, and the fact that we will never know it all, look no further because you have found him. Welcome to your people. Seriously, some of the best teachers from around the globe have rallied around this show, and we're so glad you're here with us today. So, without further delay, let's get on with the show. I have a quick little reminder for you today, friends, and it's all courtesy of my daughter's high school physical conditioning coach. See, on the first day of her freshman year, we received a parental letter from Coach Miller telling us what we could expect from physical conditioning this year. Just for context, student athletes in our district get to take physical conditioning instead of physical education, which means they get their gym credits by working in the weight room rather than your typical gym class. So I'm so happy for my kid on this one. It's just a much better situation all around than the memories we have of high school gym class. But anyway, in our introductory letter, the coach included their class mantra, which is move the dirt. He went on to say that training, and he clarified that training, physical and mental, is like moving a pile of dirt. Some days you get to use a shovel, and other days you're going to have to use a spoon. But any day that you get to move dirt is a day you are moving in the right direction. So, yes, let's move some dirt. Maybe you've heard this saying before. It's a very old metaphor, especially among athletes. The precise quote that Coach Miller shared with us was from a man by the name of John Welborn. But again, it's an idea that's been around for a long time. As I read this inclusion in the class syllabus, I was immediately on board. Then, when I went to our school's open house, I made sure to tell Coach Miller how much his philosophy aligns with piano teacher world as well. So we had a great chat about it. See, I love the fact that he frames our students' daily workouts with this image of moving dirt. By the way, there are a million things that athletes have figured out about practice that musicians are slower to come around to, but this is an important one. My question is this: how often do we explain to our students that our efforts are going to look different each time we sit down to practice? I know that we tell them their amount of practice time could vary. Like, I'm forever reminding students that 3 minutes of practice time is infinitely better than 0 minutes, right? But time is only one of many variables in practice. Our version of 100% effort is going to look a little different every day. We know this. Our focus wanes day to day and sometimes minute to minute. Our energy levels change. Our emotional state fluctuates. I mean, you get the point. There are days where we walk away from practice feeling like a superhero, right? Then, of course, there are plenty of times where we leave our instrument feeling, well, not quite worthy of superhero status. Now, I don't know about you, but my teachers rarely, if ever, talked about this with me. I knew my expected practice routine. I knew the parameters. I knew what to work on and for how long. But in all my years of serious study, I don't think I ever felt like it was okay to have days where focus was difficult or where my heart just wasn't into it. If I couldn't accomplish what I'd set out to do, I internalized that as a failure. If I couldn't concentrate, the problem was clearly me, right? This idea of moving dirt is so good because some days we're going to be moving dirt with a shovel. We're going to fix problems and take steps forward, and it's going to feel really good. Our progress is going to be noticeable. But there are plenty of days as a musician where you are moving your dirt around with a spoon. You might not walk away with a noticeable result, but you did make progress in the right direction. Because even after a few days of spoon-sized dirt moving, the progress is going to reveal itself, right? That's the promise we cling to as musicians. So, yeah. Some days you're moving dirt with a shovel, other days it's with a spoon, but either way you're making progress. That's true of our practice time, and for the record, it's also true of our lesson time. I've been using this visualization with my students this fall, and they all seem to respond well to it. The other morning, I had a student here who is also a senior in the same school district. Now, he's been hearing this metaphor about spoons and shovels and dirt for 4 years now. His piano lesson had gotten off to a rocky start because, well, you know the story. Life was feeling overwhelming. He'd been busy and stressed and distracted, and I could just feel his frustrations mounting even while we were warming up at the start of his lesson. So I looked at him and I said, "Hey, you know that thing Coach Miller always says about moving the dirt?" And this smile immediately broke out on his face because, by the way, students love when you can connect elements of their life outside the studio to what you're doing inside the studio. But anyway, he started laughing and he told me that there's even a mirror in the weight room that says, "Are you using a spoon or a shovel today?" So, as you're looking in this mirror, you can't help but ask yourself what kind of day it's going to be. I kind of love that, by the way. I gave him permission that day to make it a spoon day in our lesson. I explained that we don't actually have to go full out every lesson every week. It's not a realistic standard to hold ourselves to. So I told him to take a deep breath and give himself some healthy permission to move his dirt with a spoon that day. We were going to run his piece to the best of his ability, come what may, and then we'll go from there. Well, the funniest thing happened. I thought I was saying this so he would give himself some grace and take it a little easier that day. And to some extent he did. But he also totally rallied. He basically said, despite all of life's craziness, he did not want this to be a spoon kind of day. And friends, out came the shovel. We had a great lesson with big steps forward. It was great, and it's basically why I wanted to share this with you today. There are a few important takeaways from this whole spoon, shovel, dirt situation. First, we should normalize the fact that our best effort is going to look different every day. I love the fact that this coach is not pushing his athletes to max themselves out every class day. It's not healthy for our athletes, and it's not healthy for the musicians that are under our care either. Second, there's something really to be said about having students identify what kind of energy they are bringing to their practice each day. I can say for sure that I used to struggle to sit down and practice when I didn't feel like I was in the right frame of mind. And I'm quite sure that I've skipped sitting down at the piano many times in my life because I didn't feel like I was in the right frame of mind. I imagine that I would have really benefited from acknowledging it was a spoon kind of day, rather than avoiding practice altogether because I hated to disappoint myself. It's important to be clear with our students that any time at the instrument brings us closer to our goals. Whether we feel like it is or not, getting to the instrument is the most important step. And hey, every once in a while, once we make our peace with spoon energy, we get a second wind of motivation and end up grabbing our shovels instead, right? That's a terrific bonus to this whole thing. The third big takeaway today, and this is really important, friends, I want you to remember you cannot shovel mounds of dirt every single lesson of every single day. The saving grace of our profession is the fact that our impact is never determined by a single lesson. Our students' experience is a sum of the whole. I've recorded a whole episode on that very thing. I'll link it in today's show notes. But if you find yourself struggling for any reason, it's okay to teach your lessons with a spoon for that day. You can take a breath, enjoy your students' company, play old pieces, play some games, sight read new pieces, improvise, work on oral skills, listen to a great performance together. Whatever gives you permission to not be on in a way that drains you or makes you feel inauthentic. Let's be honest, there is a performative aspect to teaching. We all know it, and it can be exhausting. We do have to be somewhat on the whole time our students are with us. But there are also activities we can offer up that give us a chance to exhale or think a little less hard. We can choose our battles wisely, and we're allowed to make conscious decisions to tackle a particular issue next week if it's going to help us today. So, yeah, some days we will be putting our shovels to good use, moving around huge quantities of dirt. And sometimes we'll be flipping our dirt around with a spoon. The key is to bring whatever you can to your teaching that day and know that it's all progress in the right direction. So, thanks for humoring me with my latest obsession with moving the dirt. Let's close out today with a toast. Studio music teacher friends from all around the world, today we're acknowledging the impact of our humanness on the way we show up for practice every day. May we approach our teaching and our practice with one simple commitment: to make progress. Maybe it's a big step forward, maybe it's a baby step, but either way, we're heading in the right direction. Today, I'm raising my glass and saying cheers to moving some dirt, be it with a spoon, a shovel, or whatever tool finds its way into our hands today. Hear, hear. Thanks for listening to episode 190, friends. You can find related episodes and more in today's show notes at christinawhitlock.com/episode 190. Until next week, onward and upward.